Hey, what's up, guys? It's John Connor. Today we will talk about the most popular monument in the whole world, the Statue of Liberty. We will talk about the star structure in the island. We will discuss how this island is made up of seashells and other foods that were eaten and piled up in that area. We will also talk about the Russians and their involvement in the build of the statue and how Masons sponsored the statue's construction. We will discuss and check out the archive files and explore the museum of the statue. And most importantly, we will learn the history of where the statue came from and how it's connected to the Greek world. Put your seatbelts on and let's get ready for this video. Friends, we finally made it. The Statue of Liberty. The content here is incredible. The Statue of Liberty. I know that all of you at least once in your life heard about the Statue of Liberty or at least seen pics or videos of it. We will start from the simple area, the Island of Liberty. Of course, everyone thinks that this is a modern landmark. This used to be called Bedloe Island, due to the owner of it, who was named Isaac Bedloe in 1610. As you guys already know, that this is not the original name of the Statue of Liberty and the island. The original name was Bedloe. The first settlers used to call it the Island of Oysters. Let's stop here and talk about this a little bit. It turns out that the archaeologists dug around the island and they discovered a lot of oysters and clams, almost making up the whole ground of it underneath. Basically, the area had lots of oysters, and this was food for the local people. And a lot of reefs stretch out through that whole area with oysters. When Henry Gutson moved into the island in 1609, it is when the oysters gained their popularity. They were caught and sold worldwide and actually made for half of the world's oyster market at that time. The European settlers did not waste any time and used these oysters to grow an empire in the 1800s. More settlers started moving in at that time and started calling the Statue of Liberty Island the Small Oyster Shell Island. The New Yorkers always loved their oysters and started selling them nationwide. New York quickly became known for the city with the best oysters and had one of the biggest ports in the world at that time. Another important fact is at that time, the New Yorkers would eat over 1 million oysters a day. Even the most poor could afford and enjoy them. You may ask, where did they put all the shells that were left over from all these oysters? Well, it was very easy. They grinded them down and mixed them into concrete for roads, parking lots, and other things, and also foundations, because the construction boom was heavy at that time. They also used to burn them as well, but then they had to stop due to the horrible smell that it would leave. Why do we keep talking about all these oysters, you may wonder? Well, recently the island was excavated, and there was a very interesting find. It appears that the whole foundation of the island was made up from oysters and shells, eaten oyster shells, with no meat in them. You know what that means? That means that this island is man-made, and the real reason it used to be called Oyster Island is because it was literally made from oyster shells. People at that time used to use the waste they had for their benefits. It kind of reminds me of the Japanese people, because they like to use their waste or trash and reuse it in another area so they don't waste anything. Also, the Japanese, they build islands out of waste. Let's move on and talk about the foundation of the statue. The foundation is made in a shape of a giant star. I looked everywhere and nowhere else in the USA did I find another star structure that looks very similar to this. Maybe you guys seen something like this. Please leave me a comment and let me know so we can compare it to the star base of the Statue of Liberty. The base was actually a fort, apparently. You can't really tell that it was a military fort. All the windows or doors and everything has been actually covered up and concrete poured all over it. On the star you can see a square base, and then that's where the statue sits. Apparently it was built by Gustavo Eiffel, who also built and designed the Eiffel Tower. In order to find the answers, we need to look away from the statue and focus more on the coastal area near where the waves from the ocean crash. You can see beautiful, perfectly straight bricks, also the red brick that we're used to seeing everywhere by now. This has to be old material from the fort. It would be interesting to kind of dig around it and see what lies beneath those blocks and just to kind of see what else is there. But who would let us? Even if we found something, the officials would always have answers for everything. Anyways, let's leave this alone. But you guys can see the facts for yourselves. Man, so much people here. Everyone is looking at the statue. Why doesn't anyone look over the barrier and wonder about these bricks and where they are from and what they're doing here? Check it out, guys. They are perfectly cut and shaped. These are the exact same concrete blocks that are all over the structures and walls in St. Petersburg, Russia. Anyways, we find our way to the base. Here's the model of the stages of the statue's build. These figures are here supposedly showing the Statue of Liberty and how it was designed to appear kinda like an Egyptian statue that they had but used as a lighthouse, according to the official narrative. Apparently, at first the Statue of Liberty was designed to be a lighthouse on a Soviet canal that was made by the Egyptian government. Others didn't like the statue due to the Muslim beliefs, and since it was a statue of a woman, it kind of broke some of the rules of the Quran. And again, this is a weird version of the story and also makes no sense at all. The year of 1886, this is what was put in the hands of the statue. Apparently, this part was rebuilt within 100 years of the statue being built. Guys, I don't want to focus too much on the historical story about the statue. You can really find that anywhere online. But this fact is just shocking. The statue was a present to the USA from France for the 100-year anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. What does France owe the US, and why would they need to build them a statue? What most people don't know is that US supposedly received the statue when the US turned 110 years old as a country. Maybe all this was made up to cover up the Freemasonry stuff that was going on. What do you guys think? See, the Freemasons are a cult. They have their own doctrines, they have their own prayers, their own gods that they believe in, their own theology and rituals. They meet up in places that they consider holy. They have their own calendar, and they don't believe in God or Christ. They believe in the one who brings light, aka Lucifer, if you didn't know. They believe that the calendar should be 4,000 years ahead of today's calendar and that we're actually living in year 6020. They are very cultic. They believe in the Statue of Liberty to be their god and refer to it as the statue that seduces the world. It may be that the statue was built, designed, and all brought together by all these Freemasons at that time as their god. In 1984, this Masonic artifact, statue, whatever you want to call it, was put in the list of the UNESCO Wonders of the World. This statue represented the USA as a Masonic government back in the day. In 1865, Eduardo Dubali designed the statue. Federico Butoldi was the head builder. Also, in those times, the Masonic agenda was totally normal in America, and it was okay to be used for monuments or other things. The only difference between then and today is that back then the Masons did not hide that they were Freemasons and they showed it off, and today it's all very secretive and they hide it. Anyway, after the statue was built and designed and everything else in Paris, France, it was supposedly broken down into 216 pieces, then packed onto 70 trains. The trains got to the ports, and then it was packed on boats and shipped to the USA. In 1885, it arrived to the USA. And then it took about 15 months to put this thing together, due to the official story, of course. When the statue was fully built, they had a full day off, and they had to celebrate. The Masons, they gathered around. Senator Depew was there, and he actually had a speech. In his speech, he said, "Dear Freemasons, we should all be proud of the role that we played in building this monument. All of us can't forget about who we are and what we need to expand, and the light that we need to bring to all the people, and bring the people to what the statue symbolizes." Today, the Statue of Liberty is known to all, but where it came from and who actually built it is something that not everybody knows. There is a lot of hidden details about the statue. Another example of this is the secret meaning due to the three steps of the statue, or the three steps of the Masonic order: apprentice, leader, and then master. The book on the statue's arms has Roman letters and it says independence of the US and the date. And also it has the date of the French Revolution of July 14th, 1789. For some reason the Masons wanted two Masonic dates sitting side by side almost like it means something to them, but we don't really know. Okay guys, let's look at the statue from a different point of view. Hope you guys don't mind. I'll start from the back view of the statue. Nowhere in books or videos or anywhere online even is much about the back view or pictures of a back view of the statue. Almost like they don't want us talking about it for some odd reason. Why? Well, I think it's because there's nothing womanly about the statue. I mean, look at this. Do you see a lady? Just trust your eyes, guys, on this one. I mean, who's that? I mean, it's a man, without a doubt. A nice fit man who has muscles and a great physique. Look at that face. That's David Michelangelo. I mean, who knows? But to me, I cannot see this to be a female. You can't even see breasts. And again, the historians will say, oh yeah, that looks like a statue of a woman, but made to look like one of the ancient Greek statues of a similar man that they had back in the day. They'll always find an answer to everything. What Greek statue are we talking about? Well, Kolos Radovsky, or another name as the Greek god of sun, Galatius. This statue has 8 points. So why does the Statue of Liberty have a very similar crown? I mean, what do the two statues have in common? Also, why is the number 7 always used, or very, very commonly used with the Statue of Liberty? Well, it's known to be an ancient magical number. 7 world wonders, 7 notes, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 days of the week. So the points of the crown mean 7 oceans, and also they represent the 7 continents of the world. Also, the Statue of Liberty has 25 windows on the crown. So 2 plus 5 equals 7. Then it has 16 points on the flame. So you take 6 and 1, put them together, you get 7. The height of the monument is 151 feet. So you do 1 plus 1 plus 1, 1 plus 5 plus 1 equals 7 as well. I mean, this is insane. It's too much coincidences, or they're obsessed about the number 7. I mean, makes no sense. Too much things are very in common between the statue and the old ancient world. It seems like the whole statue is full of secrets and messages written all over it. So there's a person from the past that can help us with some of these secrets. Her name is Emma Lazarus. She has a moral that is carved into the statue. This is what it says. Not like the brazen giant of a Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisonment lightning, and her name, mother of exiles, from her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send them, the homeless and tempest, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So that's what it says. What do you guys think that means? It's referring to the Statue of Liberty. Here is a sign that shows a lot of Masonic symbols. Check it out, guys. So back to the message that I just read. It talks about one light versus another, the sun and a dark night. It talks about light and darkness and etc. I don't know, guys, are you confused? Because I sure am. That was very confusing, and who knows exactly what it means. It talks about the ancient world and the ancient sister of the god Galatius, who showed up to fix things. and she supposedly lives in the heavens and controls the stars. Basically, Greek mythology type of stuff. Speaking of Greek mythology, let me introduce you to another lady. There's another goddess who looks very similar to the Statue of Liberty. She's known as the goddess of destruction, who controls hell, controls all darkness, and uses a torch for her wicked spells. But again, this is just mythology, and who knows what the actual statue means. The officials also argue about where the copper came from for the statue. There were samples taken, and they came back showing that this is a different type of copper that is being used today. Some people suspect it's a copper that was used from Russia. I mean, who knows, but around that time, the Masonic lodges were persecuted and taken down and destroyed in Russia, and everything with Freemasonry was destroyed. Could it be that this is possibly a Russian type of statue that could have been built by some of them fleeing that country at that time? Remember we spoke about Joseph Pulitzer earlier, the guy that helped build and invest about $2 million in today's money for the statue? Well, doing a little digging around in research, we realized that this Joseph was actually a Russian immigrant. I mean, who knows? But it's definitely interesting that a Russian immigrant helped with the build of the Statue of Liberty. Guys, check out the island from this angle. It looks very similar to this island in Baltimore. Yeah, I know they are shaped just a little bit different, but they are actually very close alike. They look like they were built in the very same time frame, probably in the same time that the Statue of Liberty and that fort was built, to be honest. They're very similar, and maybe there was two statues or who knows what. What I do know is that this was built around the same time, and there was a lot of very similar structures built in New York and Baltimore. What are they for and who built them? We may never know, but we are definitely getting closer. But I hope after seeing this video of the Statue of Liberty, you will realize the truth is a lot different from what we were actually taught and from what the official story claims. I really hope you guys love this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. I really hope you guys enjoy these. Thank you so much. Bye.